Time now for the Inside Dish, the part of the show where I talk about a trend in the game, something I've written, something I've seen. And as I warned you at the end of the first segment, I'm going to talk about the New York Mets. Now, we had the Mets on Fox Saturday night. It was the game they lost 15-3 to the Phillies. But I want to go back to the days before as I was prepping for the broadcast, particularly after they won the first game of the series in Philadelphia on Thursday. Then they had an off day Friday going into the Saturday game. So I'm preparing my notes for the broadcast, getting ready, and I'm starting to picture in my head the possibility of the Mets bouncing back. I can kind of see it, putting things together. Again, they had won the first game of the series. They were 24-20 at that moment since May 1st. Also, since May 1st, they were 12th in the majors in runs per game. They finally were performing at a higher level offensively. They had Francisco Lindor coming back. That will happen this week. They had Tyrone Taylor close to coming back, Ronnie Mauricio, all these guys making progress. And you're thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance here. Maybe there is a ray of light. But the problem, as I said on the broadcast, early in the broadcast, after Freddie Peralta started getting lit up, is that they entered the game Saturday still 7 games under 500. And now, of course, it's 9 after they get shellacked the last 2 games in Philadelphia. So to get to 85 wins, and that's probably the bottom range for a wild card. The Reds got in with 83 last year, but let's look at 85 as a potential target. To get to 85, they're going to need to go 51-34 the rest of the way. 51-34. Now, how do you do that? The way to get back to 500, the first obstacle for the Mets, is to get strong starting pitching. And you have to kind of do that night after night. That's how the Phillies got back into contention under Don Mattingly. Wheeler came back. They had Sanchez. Luzardo's been good. They put some things together with their rotation, even with Nola inconsistent and Painter not good. They were able to mount this surge. The Mets, it's difficult to see how they're going to do that. Peralta was acquired to be, if not the ace, a top of the rotation starter. Awful. And his season, by and large, has been disappointing. He was awful Saturday night, disappointing overall. Sean Manaea, he came on of late and has had 2 good starts in a row, but still a question. The guy who is their presumptive ace now, Nolan McLean, had a little bit of a rocky period, understandable in his second season, but he's coming off a strong start in Cincinnati. So you could see, okay, going into the Peralta game, Peralta, McLean, Manaea, that's not bad. But again, Peralta hugely disappointing on Saturday, overall disappointing as well. Manaea, okay, perhaps he'll be okay, but again, there's just not enough there. David Peterson, a guy who was an all-star last year, has lost it. He's been bad all season, bad again Sunday night. Who knows what they'll get from Senga? He's still in the rotation. Christian Scott coming back from the injured list relatively soon. That should help. But you're piecing this together and you're seeing the Mets and you're recalling that the Clay Holmes injury, the fractured tibia, that was absolutely crushing for them. Because if they had a chance to really mount something here, it was going to be with their pitching healthy. And Clay Holmes had to be healthy. He was arguably their top starter, excepting McLean, who is in his second year. So I don't see it with this rotation. So then you ask the question, okay, then what's next? Lindor is back this week, but the Mets need to get hot in a hurry to avoid becoming a seller. And yes, they are trending toward becoming a seller. And yet you ask, what is there to sell? Peralta not only is hurting the team, he's hurting his trade value. You've got Peterson, another potential free agent. Perhaps a team will take a shot on him, but they're not going to give you much in return. You've got some bullpen pieces, some lefties, AJ Minter and Brooks Raley, potential free agents. They'll bring B-level prospects probably back to you. And you've got Clay Holmes, who, if a team is willing to take a chance, the way the Blue Jays did with Shane Bieber last season, and trade for a guy on the injured list, they may think, okay, in the final 6 weeks or so, we can get something out of Clay Holmes. But again, none of these deals is going to be a blockbuster for the Mets. Maybe a trade Luke Weaver. I don't know. You can do that. The one strength they've had this season has been bullpen management and their bullpen overall. And when I say bullpen management, I had this stat ready to go Saturday night. We never got to it because the Mets got crushed. Carlos Mendoza, for all his difficulties this year, for whatever concerns the Mets might have about him, or the Mets fans, I should say, might have about him, they've obviously stuck with him. They have the fewest back-to-backs this year. What I mean by that is the fewest times a reliever has pitched on consecutive days this season. That shows you that Mendoza has run the bullpen pretty well because they've had, of course, all of these short starts, and he has still managed to run the bullpen in a way where he hasn't crushed any reliever. So, okay, good on that end, but a good bullpen doesn't do you much good when you've got a team that is falling behind all the time, and that is a frequent occurrence with the Mets.
Hey, SeatGeek is MLB's official ticket marketplace, and in addition to finding every single game on the MLB calendar, there are big events coming up very soon.
There's an all-star game, there's a home run derby, and if you think you're perfect and you can pick the right seat at the home run derby to get the most home run balls, you can get the little green dot, and that might be your lucky seat. Don't go red dot, though, because you might not get any balls. But go red, green dot, and get as many home run balls as you think you can catch.
Yep, you click the seat, you check out what your view is. Each ticket's rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. And that's what AJ's talking about. Green good, red bad, with those dots. And the code for you, Territory10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any MLB tickets with promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description of this episode. That'll help you download the app and get the code automatically added to your account so that you can use it later. Thank you to SeatGeek.
Now, Stearns is going to be the question here, and that's the biggest issue with the Mets, the question that's going to be going forward. What do you do with David Stearns if you're owner Steve Cohen? Now, a lot of fans want Stearns gone, and understandably so. This season has been a mess, coming off last season, which for the final 4 months was a mess. What Stearns did was he reacted to that disappointment, the disappointment of 2025, by orchestrating a dramatic makeover. And the makeover, in the eyes of many fans, and a lot of people seem to have forgotten they thought this, a lot of people wanted Pete Alonso gone, and Brandon Nimmo gone, and Jeff McNeil gone, and the idea of starting over. Understandable. They had not won with that group, and if you want to start over, okay. The problem with that is you've got to have good answers. And I questioned in January whether they had chosen the right players. And it turns out in many cases they have not. And the problem I had, and I mentioned this on the broadcast as well, was that you brought in a series of guys who have lengthy injury histories. And also a guy, Marcus Semien, in decline. Robert Jr., injury history. Polanco, injury history. Bo Bichette, for that matter. He's been healthy. He's had leg problems in the past, too. They've been lucky with him. So you did all that. It hasn't worked. At least it hasn't worked to this point. You can say, well, the injury to Holmes was crushing. No. When you've got the game's second highest payroll, the loss of one pitcher shouldn't hit you or hurt you that much. So people are going to want David Stearns gone. And people are going to think, well, Carlos Mendoza has to go. Maybe so. You have to change your manager in this circumstance. I get it. But David Stearns, be careful what you wish for, because the Mets have had a lot of turnover in that position, the head of baseball operations under Cohen. And Stearns has done some good things. Rebuilt the processes in the farm system. Created an environment where A.J. Ewing and Carson Benj in particular could come up. There were spots available to them, in Ewing's case because of Robert's injury. But they created an opportunity for Benj, and they're doing that for other young players as well. Now, has it all worked out? No, it has not all worked out. But you change your head of baseball operations, and you're kind of starting all over again. Maybe that's the appropriate decision here, but I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure that's the way to go when, again, you've had all that turnover. You've had some good things happen under Stearns. He just needs to make better decisions. Now, if he proves incapable of that, if, for instance, they have another bad offseason and they don't improve next year, then I think you're talking about something else. But Steve Cohen has invested a lot in David Stearns, signed him to a huge contract. That was the guy they wanted all along. So we'll see how this all plays out going forward. Stearns clearly is going to have to make better decisions, choose better players, for lack of a better term. And then the question becomes, how much confidence does Steve Cohen still have in him to do that?